Hold on tight, people, because what we're about to reveal will leave you speechless. Chrissy Lynn died tragically in a car accident, but we were all led to believe it was just another accident. However, new evidence is turning that theory upside down, and it's not a coincidence. Dash cam footage has surfaced, and guess what? It appears that someone was pursuing her, and it wasn't just any driver. This was stalking at its best. As for who could have been responsible, well, let's say the plot thickens faster than your morning coffee. Murky, but could this car accident have been something much more sinister? Did she know something was just too much for her to handle? Or was someone plotting her demise for months, if not years? Stay tuned, because what we're about to reveal will make you question everything you thought you knew about this tragic accident. Though most people are grieving over what they believe to be a straightforward tragic car accident, new information is coming to light, and let me tell you, this is not just a car crash. Oh no, it looks more and more like someone had it out for Chrissy. For those of you who don't know or may have been living under a rock, Chrissy was more than just a reality star. She was an icon who wasn't afraid to stand up for herself, speak her mind, and call out anyone who dared to cross her. From her relationship with the renowned rapper Jim Jones to her time in New York, Chrissy was everywhere, and she established a reputation for being fearless. Chrissy was not your typical reality TV star. She was fiercely protective of her loved ones, especially her man. But let's take a moment to consider what happened to Chrissy. Was it a freak accident, or are we looking at something much darker that smells like foul play? According to the most recent revelations, Chrissy's death doesn't seem like a random tragedy. Rather, it was planned and intentional. And let's not forget the terrifying words of Jim Jones, who has been haunted by his last conversation with Chrissy before she passed away. What exactly did she say? "I feel not okay," she told him, and just minutes after. The dash cam footage from Chrissy's car has surfaced, and let me tell you, it's raising more questions than it answers. It shows agent truck aggressively following a car for what seems like an eternity before ramming it when the driver has nowhere to go. But that's not where the strangeness ends. This truck didn't just cause a crash. The crash felt like an explosion, and the moment that her car was slammed into by another vehicle is unsettling. Evidence is being ignored. So let me just put this out there. Why was the truck following her? Why didn't it stop after the crash? This wasn't a hit and run. It wasn't an accident where someone wasn't paying attention. It felt like intentional harm. And guess what? Jim Jones agrees. That man is still in shock over the fact that his life's love was taken from him in the most horrific way. And every new detail strengthens his conviction this wasn't an accident. Hold on though, because this story is far from over. We'll discuss conspiracy theories and the odd text messages Chrissy received in the days before the collision and the suspicious behavior of the truck that wouldn't leave her alone. But before we do that, let's talk about who Chrissy was and why this tragedy is making headlines around the world. She wasn't just a reality TV star who died in a random accident. She was someone who made an impact and wasn't afraid to voice her opinions, even when it came to her own romantic relationship with Jim. Over the years, we saw her develop and change from heated arguments with other cast members to private moments when she let her guard down with Jim. And let's not forget her famous catchphrases. Whether you loved her or hated her, you couldn't help but respect her. However, what if I told you that everything we believe to be true about Chrissy's death is actually false? What if I told you that Chrissy may have been the victim of something much darker that we all missed during our time of grief? How could someone have the audacity to do this to someone who was unquestionably a pillar of strength? It's nearly impossible to comprehend. Let's go into the specifics of what we currently know about the tragic crash. The first reports gave the impression that it was a straightforward accident. A car lost control and a tragic crash occurred. And Chrissy was gone, but the dash cam footage that has been made public paints a disturbing picture. Wasn't just an accident, it was an aggressive pursuit. A large truck followed Chrissy for 15 minutes prior to the fatal crash. Yes, 15 minutes. Does that sound like a random accident to you? The police have the footage from her car, and they have confirmed what we all feared. The truck didn't just follow her, it rammed her car at such a high speed that it caused instant death. The force was so great that everyone who witnessed it was in complete shock. Why didn't the truck stop? Why didn't they try to help after the accident? We're just getting started. Jim Jones has revealed the first details about Chrissy's last moments. He recently discussed the last phone call he had with her before everything went horribly wrong. Imagine the woman you love in a car calling you in a panic, telling you she doesn't feel safe, and then she's gone. Jim says that Chrissy told him, "There's a truck following me. I don't think it's safe. They're trying to push me off the road." Even though Jim, her supportive partner, tried to calm her down, we all know how this story ends. Just minutes after that call, Chrissy was dead. What does this tell us? Was it a freak accident, or was someone trying to silence Chrissy? The picture is still too blurry to see clearly, but the idea that Chrissy was the victim of something more sinister is gaining traction, and the more we look into it, the more twisted this whole situation becomes. However, the real question is, who would want to harm Chrissy Lampkin? As the story progresses, we're learning terrifying details that seem to point to a much darker conspiracy. And trust me, we're not talking about some isolated accident. This is looking more and more like a carefully planned attack. Now, let's talk about the timeline. We know that Chrissy was being followed by this mysterious truck for 15 minutes, which is suspicious. Why would anyone be following her for such a long time? The truck wasn't just following her passively, it was closing in on her at full speed. Here things get even more disturbing. It wasn't a case of, oh, the truck just lost control. No, the truck rammed into her car. It wasn't a simple accident, it was a deliberate hit. And that's the part that's raising serious red flags. But wait, it gets even stranger. According to reports we're receiving from anonymous sources within the investigation, the truck involved was owned by an enigmatic company that has been connected to some dubious activities in the past. I don't want to jump to conclusions just yet, but when you start to piece things together, it doesn't seem so innocent anymore. What if the company had a grudge against Chrissy, or worse, what if someone powerful hired them to carry out this attack? Let's consider this. Chrissy wasn't a little-known celebrity. She was a formidable force that we all saw on television, but behind the scenes, she had her own set of adversaries. If you have been following her career, you are aware that she was always outspoken and didn't back down from confrontations, whether they were on. Then there's Jim Jones, who has been devastated by Chrissy's death, but is now beginning to question whether her death was a simple accident. Recent interviews have shown that he's not convinced that someone wanted to silence her permanently. And the fact that Jim Jones is raising the possibility that Chrissy was intentionally targeted is significant, because this is not just conjecture anymore. We're talking about a man who spent years with Chrissy and knows her, reality TV or in her personal life, so it's easy to imagine that someone in her orbit might have had a reason to want to bring her down. Better than anyone, so if he's claiming that something wasn't right about her death, it's worth hearing. However, this is where things get even more twisted. The police investigation is currently underway, and while you might think that the authorities are doing everything possible to find the truth, insiders say that there has been incredible resistance from some members of the police force who don't want this investigation to be made public. This is because the truth is beginning to leak out, and those in positions of authority are attempting to put a stop to it before it receives any more attention. Investigations into high-profile deaths have been covered up for reasons we will never fully understand in many cases. But let's not just concentrate on the police, because there are other aspects of this case that make it even more chilling. For example, in the days before the crash, Chrissy received strange and threatening text messages from an untraceable number. The content of these messages was disturbing, but one message in particular stands out. "You'll never see it coming, but your time is near you." Now, that's a direct threat, and it's difficult to argue that this wasn't a targeted attack. But who could have sent these messages, and why is the million-dollar question? Some people are speculating that these messages could have come from someone close to Chrissy, someone who knew her movements, schedule, and, most importantly, her vulnerabilities. Could it have been a business rival, jealous associate, or someone she crossed at some point in her career, or was a completely random act of violence? Let's not forget the strange behavior surrounding the truck driver dash. We know that the driver's actions were deliberate and they showed no regard for human life. But as the investigation progresses, it becomes increasingly evident that the authorities aren't giving this case the attention it deserves. It's not just about Chrissy's crash. The truck that struck her car didn't stop, didn't even try to help, and sped off, leaving Chrissy's car crumpled and lifeless in the middle of the road. Don't expect the truth to come easily. It never does. The more we learn, the more we realize that isn't just a case of an accident gone wrong. It's a case that's being covered up. And the more the police try to hide the details, the more suspicious it all seems. Tragic death is no longer about justice. People are beginning to demand answers. Why is there so much secrecy surrounding this case? Why are important pieces of evidence being withheld from the public? Most importantly, why are we not hearing more from Chrissy Jim Jones's closest friends and family? To feel like a conspiracy, not just a small one, but a full-blown cover-up of epic proportions. Now, let's take a moment to think about this. Chrissy Lampkin didn't just die in a random crash. Something much more sinister is at play here. As the story progresses, it appears that she was targeted. But who did this and why? Stay tuned because we haven't even touched the surface yet, and things are going to get even more shocking as we continue to delve deeper into this terrifying case. The truth is beginning to emerge, but regrettably, the more we dig, the murkier the waters become. We've all seen how quickly law enforcement can move on cases when they want to look at how quickly they solved some of the biggest scandals in history. So why is it taking them this long to piece together the facts in Chrissy's case? It's not just about figuring out who was behind the wheel that fateful day. It's also about uncovering the forces that are doing everything in their power to keep this story buried. What is the silence from law enforcement? Let's examine the fallout that occurs when a case of this size is ignored by the very people who are supposed to keep us safe. First, we have Jim Jones, Chrissy's longtime partner, who has been speaking out more and more about the investigation's lack of progress. He has been saying that he's getting frustrated with the slow and chaotic process, and while he may not have all the answers, one thing is clear: he's not the only one. Authorities are acting as though they're doing everything in their power to keep the case under wraps. Jim has been on the front lines fighting for the truth, but he's beginning to feel like he's hitting a brick wall. Jim has made it clear that he feels like certain individuals within their circle knew something was going to happen, but no one took it seriously. How many times do we hear about warnings before tragedy strikes? There were whispers and red flags, but no one paid attention. Jim has expressed how this entire ordeal has made him feel like he's backing down and demanding justice, not just for Chrissy, but for everyone who has ever been silenced by powerful people who believe they can get away with anything. Now let's talk about the public backlash. As the story spreads, people have started to question just how deep this conspiracy goes. The media has been buzzing with rumors, and some are even suggesting that Chrissy's death was orchestrated by powerful individuals in the entertainment industry who didn't want her to succeed. There are wild speculations about people who might have had business interests in ensuring Chrissy stayed out of the limelight. Was she too much of a threat to the status quo? Did someone feel like she needed to be removed? And then there's the matter of the leaked dash cam footage. Oh, you thought it was all over after the crash, didn't you? The publicly available footage has shown much more than just the events leading up to the collision. It shows Chrissy's car swerving dangerously, and there's a dark shadow of the truck that follows her almost like it's chasing her. The footage has been called bone-chilling, and once you see it, you can't help but wonder if Chrissy was being stalked prior to the collision. It has also raised questions regarding the lack of accountability and why the driver of. The more people watch this footage, the more questions come up about whether the authorities knew more than they were revealing or if they could have caught the driver but decided not to. The truth may be right in front of us, but it's being kept hidden for reasons we don't yet know. Now, let's talk about the consequences. In theory, someone in law enforcement should be responsible for this investigation, putting in the time and effort to find the truth. That truck was arrested right after the crash. resources to hold those responsible to account, but instead we're witnessing more and more evidence of a manipulated system. Some experts are now speculating that the case might never make it to court because the ruling class will stop at nothing to protect themselves. And just when you think things can't get any worse, we learned that powerful figures in the entertainment industry have quietly begun to distance themselves from Chrissy's case. Could it be that these so-called friends were only interested in Chrissy's fame, and that now that she's gone, they're washing their hands of her? The industry is a cold place, and it appears that Chrissy's life and death may have been merely a pawn in a larger game. However, despite all the leaked information, dash cam footage, unanswered questions, and public outcry, we're still sitting here with no real answers, and the case has gone cold. We're left wondering how long it will take before Chrissy's story fades into the background. How many other cases have been swept under the rug in the same manner? And are we really going to let this one end up as just another unsolved mystery? As we come to a close, there is one thing we know for sure. There is a larger conspiracy at work here, one that involves more than just a hit-and-run accident. Could it be that the people closest to Chrissy were involved in a much darker web of lies than we ever imagined? And here is the final kicker. The people who should care the most about this case, the ones closest to her, have been mysteriously quiet. Where are the real answers? Why is everyone keeping their mouths shut? Did her friends and family members know more than they've let on? If so, why are they not speaking up? What do you think? Was just a tragic accident? Or was Chrissy's death something much more sinister? Could it be that the truth is closer than we think? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like. Chrissy Lampkin's death is far from over. Justice has not been served. As more details come to light, we may be witnessing the beginning of a much larger scandal. Will the truth ever come out, or will this case be buried like so many others before it? Only time will tell. Here you have it, people. As we continue to reveal the truth behind the headlines, the mystery grows, and every turn only leads to more questions than answers. But what's the real story? Was a freak accident, or was there something more sinister going on? Could the authorities be concealing something that we would like to hear about? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below. Do you think it was just a freak accident? Or is there a sinister hidden agenda behind Chrissy Lampkin's death that the public is being kept in the dark about? Could someone powerful be pulling the strings? The truth is out there, and we're going to find it behind the scenes, and if so, how far does this conspiracy go? This story is far from over, so we need to keep the conversation going. Share this video with your friends, spread the word, and make sure everyone knows what's going on. We need to demand answers, and we won't stop until we get them. If you think there's more to the story, hit the like button. If you want to stay up to date with the latest developments and shocking revelations that the mainstream media won't tell you, make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned, everyone, because there will be more startling disclosures soon. Keep asking, keep researching, and keep observing. We'll be back shortly with more.